Welcome to Real Life on the Homestead in Ontario. I'm Marie, and I'm actually recording this after I've already completed part of the task. But the way this worked is it was pouring. Every time I wanted to videotape anything, it was pouring, and it's happening again. Anyway, what I did a few days ago is I drove down to Toronto because my mom was leaving for Europe for her summer break over there. And while I was down there, I went to my girlfriend Fatima's house. Her parents unfortunately passed away last December, January. They passed away 2 weeks apart from each other. Really heartbreaking, but they are at peace. They were both ill, so sometimes passing is the best thing for real life. We will miss them because they're incredible people. Lots and lots of knowledge I gained from them. And one of the things that always stuck very close to us was Fatima's dad planted some grapevines in their backyard about 45 years ago. We're trying to guess this. And they've grown there in the backyard. It is really starting to rain on. Getting into a little bit of shelter. So anyway, back to my story. Fatima's dad, he planted these grapevines, and all the grandkids have grown up having these grapes every fall. And they were delicious. They were red Concord grapes, some white grapes, I don't know what variety, and then a tiny little grape. Not as tasty, but still, definitely a memory of that household. Anyway, Fatima and her siblings are selling the house. They all have their own homes. It's kind of sad to see something that's been in our history for so many years, and their history even more than mine. But it's sad. The house is going to be sold, and being downtown Toronto, most likely it will be torn down. So what we're going to do, and we've already done this, but on the video, what we're going to do is we're going to dig up these grapes, and I am taking one over to Fatima's daughter's home because she'd like to keep a little bit of that memory going. The other ones I'm bringing up here to the property, and I'm going to plant them here. Unfortunately, it has been raining all week heavily, like I mean tons. So I wasn't able to videotape as we were going because I didn't want my camera getting wet, didn't want it falling in the mud, and we were literally floating in mud. So what I'm going to do is show you clips from what we did when we were down at their home. We dug up the grapes, and then I'm going to show you planting them in my garden. I've already put 2 in and forgot to record it, so I will show you the third one. I tell you, it's absolutely friggin' crazy. The sun is back out. We're not experts at this, but we definitely did some research. We found out that we could take the thicker canes about the size of a pinky finger, and we can grow roots. However, you can also dig up the base of the root. Look how thick that is. That's about 6 inches thickness. You can dig around the roots, not taking the entire root, just enough for it to generate new roots in the future. I'm sure you can hear the rain in the background. And at this point, I am completely soaked. My jacket, my sweatshirt underneath, my pants, everything. And my boots weighed a ton because the mud just accumulated.
Can you grab that one? There you go.
What I'm doing here is just being selective of canes that have the thickness about of my pinky, because those will be the best ones to have lots of energy to grow roots. Now let me introduce the voice of my dear friend
I'll take
Fatima.
that one.
Now this is a labor of love, trying to keep my father's grapes alive by transplanting to Marie's property and to Erica and John's backyard under rain, and our boots are covered in mud.
From here, we went over to Eric and John's place and planted one of the grapes and some of the other plants in the backyard. But then, off to my place. Seems that every time I come out and start working on the vines, it starts to rain on me again. Looks like I might have a little bit of a clearing, so I'm gonna try and see if I could show you what I'm working on. So this is that thick one that I had shown you earlier. And you see here, this is where we cut off one of the branches that was leading up and had to cut off a couple more. And I will show you the roots that we actually saved. You don't need a lot. Now, when we were cutting these, and this is almost like a backwards instructional video, we basically cut at this point and just went right around the root ball. It was hard. We had to use a saw. We had to use a sledgehammer with my spade, hitting the sledgehammer here so that it would cut through the roots. Think about it, 45-year-old roots are pretty strong, but that's all you need when you're transplanting a older vine. And hopefully this will take nicely. I'm hoping it grows up this pole and we will trellis it later. But let me show you the one I'm going to put in. Fortunately, I wasn't able to show you this as we were digging them out. But what we did is, like I said, we cut around the root ball. And we did cut some pretty, let me see if I can show you, some pretty thick roots. But we've got lots of these little ones. And these will be the start of this vine taking hold here. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting them all up against one of my garden posts as a great place to start. And I'm gonna dig the hole and show you exactly how deep to plant. Now I've dug my hole here, and I do wanna share an understanding of how to see how deep to plant. So I'm gonna have to dig this a little wider, but place this in here. And you think, wow, you know what, fits pretty good. However, this is very hard to show on a video. But see, this is the level of the ground. And if I come, where it was before is lower. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that where the soil depth was before is the same as it should be now. So I'm going to raise this up about that high. That means I have to put some dirt at the bottom. And I'm going to make that hole a little wider. The level of the hole has come up a little, and it's always good to put fertilizer down before you put anything in the ground. And because these roots are older and established, I want to make sure that we get them nice and strong in there. So what fertilizer should I use? Friends, my favorite. The best fertilizer in the world is an egg. So I just throw that in. I'm going to break it up a little bit. And now I'm going to plant in my root. Just grab that, plant in. Now what I'm also going to do is make sure that I don't leave any air pockets in there. I'm using my hand because sometimes that's my best tool. And yes, I do have gloves. Choosing not to wear them right now. But I'm going to go around, put the dirt underneath the roots. We don't want any air pockets. And then I'm going to stomp on it after. Got my dirt in there. Just going to press down. Make sure the roots are in there nice and compact. I'm going to go and get some topsoil. Even though it's been raining like crazy, I'm still going to water so that we can make sure that there is no air pockets in the soil. We don't want those roots to dry out. We want them to flourish. Here are some of the canes that I am going to root after, or try to root. They're about the size of my pinky, just a little bit thinner than my pinky, but not by much. See that? And this is where we're going to try to establish some roots and make some other plants. But we're definitely using those old stalks to see if we can get those going. That's the original. Here's the white grape that I want to get into the ground. So I'm going to just grab it, and it's starting to rain again. Oh my gosh. And now hail. This is a perfect example of when times are tough and you get a terrible storm, which we just had, a huge hailstorm. Be positive, wait until it's over, and then find yourself a rainbow. There's always a positive with every negative. Remember that. And this, my friends, is the story of two friends, 35-year friendship. And we can make the best of the hardest situations, always laughing, always enjoying each other's company, always being there for each other as need be. And this will be the start of a new memory. We will look back on this day and say, remember when. I hope you've enjoyed this type of content. Please like, share, subscribe, and go out, live your best life.